Welcome back to the 13th Destiny with Magnum. And of course, my co-host is standing by there in San Diego. Danielle, how you doing today?
I am great.
There she is. All right, well, let's do our quick weekly shout-outs and our sponsorship talk before we get into our awesome guest that I have coming on today for us. And you're going to love him. Trust me. I think he's great. So anyway, we'll introduce him in just a minute. Please, if you're coming to Bowling Green, Kentucky, check out the Holiday Inn University Plaza Hotel right there at 1021 Wilkerson Trace here in my hometown. A place I've been doing business with now for over 20 years. Was just by there this morning, as a matter of fact, as I am there most every day just about when I'm in town. Also, our friends down at Oak Grove Racing and Gaming in Oak Grove, Kentucky. Home right across the border there with Fort Campbell, home of the 101st Airborne, and of course Clarksville, Tennessee. Also, be sure to check out our new sponsor, the tshirtgrove.com, and that's T-E-E shirtgrove.com. They are our sponsor, and they will be in the links as well as information about our guest today. And just a quick little bit about our guest before I bring you on. The guest today almost needs no introduction. To tell you the truth about it, he's pretty well known around certain circles and stuff, and getting more well known every day. You can say he has led an amazing life. Everything from acting, flying into space, books, blogs, you name it. He's done all kinds of stuff. He's also a Kentucky Colonel. Also, even has a doctor on his name about something with gaming. The list is amazing. And our guest is John Kercez. And welcome, John, to the 13th Destiny. How are you doing today, John?
Oh, I'm doing good. I had to laugh a little bit to myself. I am a regular legend in my own mind, you know.
Dude, you got more stuff than you got more stuff than me, and some people call me a legend. And I have to laugh sometimes and take a step back and go, dude, I can show you one of my friends that's got more than me. I get that.
Yeah.
You kind of just have.
I don't know how you go through life and you don't want to do things. That's what gets me sometimes, you know.
Same way. Yep, you and I are in that same wave on that one. So tell us what's been going on with you, John.
I've been getting some notice lately. It's like lately I've been lucky, and you do a lot of work, and sometimes you feel you're not noticed, and then all of a sudden it just takes somebody noticing you. And I was in an article in Hollywood Digest about the movie work I've been working on, and I've been plugging away with that for years, actually since the 90s when my kids were little.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of held me back when my kids were little, to be honest with you. But getting back to right now, it just takes you getting a push in one direction, and other people see that. And I also do interviews, and I've done them. Oh, no, since the 80s, I've done interviews. Back then it was, taped. And, lately I've been getting more people that want to get more interviews done, and different kinds of interviews. And I've been working on videos. I became a partner with YouTube. But it all just kind of snowballs. And like I like to say, if you are a creative type person, you like doing creative things, whether that's music, movies, paintings, usually somebody that's creative in some ways, creative in other ways. And I think that's a lot of times what people don't realize, because you just have that urge to do things like you yourself there, James. You like to do things and express yourself. Yeah. I think it's kind of opening up your soul to people. It's how you show people your soul,
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you've been getting a lot of movie stuff here lately, right?
Yeah, I've been. I think Splash magazine. It's an online magazine. I think it's Splash or Splashes. Did one, and that's covered in 21 cities, including Paris and London.
Nice.
So that's kind of nice. It's nice to be recognized, but I realize, there's a song that I think Marilyn Manson did, where he says, everybody loves you when you're on top, but when you're all of a sudden not on the magazine covers or anything anymore, people forget you. So I know it's a
yeah,
it's a wave, And
you
it
gotta
goes in cycles.
Yeah, you got to take that wave when it comes too, or you got trouble. You're right. You just disappear from the cycle. I know my awesome co-host, who's also on the phone, has some questions for you. I know she has done some research and would love to ask you some questions. So I'm going to bring her in and let her ask you a few questions about yourself and things that you do.
I would just like to say, if you have video, even if it looks like me and sounds like me, it's not me. I'm going to deny it, okay? But go ahead.
Yeah, I tried to do live video. We've been having trouble with the internet satellite out here, and
I mean, when you said she did research, I just want you to know.
Danielle, he got me. Anyway, go ahead and ask away, Danielle, because I know you've got some questions.
Oh, I just wanted to know, from when you were little, how did you come about doing all this stuff? Like, what got you interested? What were you interested in when you were young? How did this all
first
start?
off, I was never little, which is kind of true as far as the size of me, but I've always been a big kid. I always say my biggest influence was the Beatles and Elvis, and that's still, I still think of, I went to the World's Fair, that he did that World's Fair movie, the 64, and I was just there at the same location for this year's Governor's Ball Music Festival. And, Elvis, his music, just him on TV and movies, always, was something I thought I wanted to be like that. And I loved the Beatles when I was a kid, and they were first on Ed Sullivan. And, used to love singing them when they were on the radio. I Want to Hold Your Hand, loved when that came out. And that still just sticks in my mind, as a driving factor for liking music and entertainment,
Oh, awesome. I also saw that they gave you a Lifetime Achievement Award for martial arts. How is that? What's right? Am I right?
Yeah, I've been doing martial arts since I was actually 6. And my original instructor, Lou Casamassa, had just passed away, I think, 2 Februaries ago. His son, Chris Casamassa, is still the head of the Red Dragon organization based in California. And Chris has done lots of movies himself. He was, I believe he was Sub-Zero, I think, or Scorpion, one of them, I forget which one, in the original Mortal Kombat movie. So every so often I communicate with him a little bit. It's hard to get a hold of him. But that's how I started, because of being a big kid. I joked about never being small. I would get picked on by the kids a lot older than me because I was their size, but I wasn't their toughness. Yeah. I was a kid years younger than them. So my mom sent me off to the karate instructor, who was an ex-policeman in an area that my aunt had also taken judo from at college. And that was Lou Casamassa. And that's kind of how I got started. I still do martial arts today. Every day I get up and do my Kaz and forms and some yoga. That's how I start today. And presently I'm training in Paxil Arts with Ed Parker Jr. His dad was the founder of American Kempo. And Paxil Arts isn't a martial art. That's why he calls it Paxil Arts. It's an art for peace, not for war, like the word martial means. And the whole idea with that is normally martial arts starts at like level 4 of a confrontation. But what do you do between that 0 and 4? What if your uncle, who everybody loves, gets drunk and starts carrying on? Do you just knock him unconscious, or do you take care of him in some other more peaceful, non-hurting way? So that's kind of what we're about with that. So I still do that to this day, and that's how I got started. But I've trained with lots of interesting people, and sad thing is, as you get older, now that I'm in my early 60s, I deal a lot with people I trained with, sons instead of the original person. Like I said, Chris Casamassa instead of Lou Casamassa, Ed Parker Jr. instead of Ed Parker Sr. And, but still, I enjoy it. And at this age, though, I don't want to be a fantastic martial artist that can do amazing things anymore. like I did when I was younger. I kind of like it for the peace and the wholeness that it gives me, you know?
There you go. Good stuff.
Wow, that is really interesting. Is it a thing where you get a black belt, or why the Lifetime Achievement Award? Because you just been doing it
No,
all
just a
your life?
lifetime for all the time. I believe the one you're talking to me about was given to me by Warfield's martial arts, and I oversee the Hapkido part of his studio, and he oversees the Kung Fu part. But I myself am not a everyday active instructor anymore, and so they kind of gave that as an acknowledgement to me for all my years in the art, which at this time I think is, you know, it's 3 years away from being 60 years. Let's put it that way.
Wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
So they did that to me, and I still support my head students, and Warfield, Timothy Warfield out of Lebanon, Pennsylvania is one of my top students. One of my other top students is Tiger Khan out of India. And then my next down high student is Dr. Dwayne Kreider. He works at Kutztown University. So I like to stay in touch with them, and through their students through them. You know, martial arts kind of like a family sometimes, and then you're like the grandfather, they're like the father, the students are like the grandkids to me, and it's sort of a family type structure is how you kind of look at it, you know.
Wow. Yeah, very much. That's awesome. Fun. Wow. I also see that you've been an author.
What was that? I didn't catch that.
You've been an author also?
Oh, yes. I've been doing books for a while now, and I have one called The Adventures of Dr. Jonks, and that is my biggest novel story that I've done. I'm kind of happy with that because it kind of took me 20 years to do, and I wrote it in an interesting way. I wanted to write a big novel, but it was kind of a big project. I'd done a bunch of quote books, and I'd done a kid's book that I'm very happy, which is called Dream It, Do It. So that's one to look up on Amazon. With the holidays coming up, maybe get it for kids and everybody's family. But it's about the fact that it's actually kind of autobiographical, about how you dream about doing things with your kids, like going to space, going to Mount Everest, and doing that stuff. And then I turned around and did it. So that's kind of related to me. But it's kind of about the fact that you should dream things and you should do them no matter what people say to you. Mm-hmm. But getting back to the other book, I'm sorry, I wrote it in an interesting way as I decided, how am I going to do this and chip away at it? I wrote it as an adolescent fantasy novel in 3 parts. So you had the first chapter, second chapter, third chapter. And they were written more for a junior high school type audience. So then what I did was I took those 3 books, combined them, and added a new ending to it. But when I did that, I also went through and rewrote it for a older audience. So that was a little bit more detailed and stuff in nature. And then published it as one big book. And I'm really happy with that. It was an interesting way to write it because it wasn't as painful as writing the big book all at once. You know, I kind of took it away in chunks and then put it together and made it had an additional ending to it. So those that had read it before could still get something new out of the new book. So that's one of my favorite books that I've written.
Oh, nice. I see that there's one here, The Unbelievable Life of Dr. John Z.
That's Dr. John Z, yeah. Jonks.
Are you?
Now there's a bunch, you're going to see 4 of those.
Oh.
3 of them are the adolescent type fantasy books, and then the one big thicker one is the main one.
Got it. And were you interested in writing since, obviously you said you started when you were young, so you've been interested in writing for a long time.
Well, it's like I said, I think when you're creative, you have ideas that you want to get out. And I've written for magazines, I've written stories, I've written books. I like to write lyrics. I was nominated twice for 2 different Grammys for music I wrote with Joey Wells, who was the keyboardist for Bill Haley and the Comets. And he's still around in his 80s. He's still kicking. And, I like that part of it. I don't think I'll ever be a great singer. My voice has gotten worse as I've gotten older. It's gotten more gravelly and stuff. I'm not the best musician. So kind of the writing end is I think where it's more my forte, coming up with ideas. And that's always been good for me. And that works then when I cross over into doing movies and stuff too. I've done acting roles, but I've done a lot of producing, and I've done a little bit of directing and even a little bit of stunt work. So a lot of me is the ideas and like I say, the creative, the sparks you get, the quirky things to your personality, and I think that's the same thing that James has there, that has led to all his adventures and things in life. And I kind of think it's funny. When I was younger, I remember the women saying, "Oh, he's attractive and built good, but he's got a strange personality." I get that feedback all the time. And now I'm finding when you're older, though, that strange personality definitely becomes a plus and not a negative.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because you're thinking about things a little differently than other people does. And I think that's something that we should try to cultivate in our youth of today, too,
Yes, very much so. That's all for right now. I hand it back over to you.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dane.
Thank you.
John, I was gonna. Some of the things about your background. You have such an amazing background. You and I have both. Thank you for saying that about me as well. But you have a very large background with a lot of different things, including going to space, Mount Everest, all that stuff. Do you home in on any one particular thing that you think is like one of your best things that you've done, or do you just think everything is great? I kind of get the.
Well, actually, I'm kind of the opposite. I kind of think that I make a lot of trash.
Okay.
I have. I'm not always real happy with myself.
I understand
that striving to get to your vision of things, and a lot of things I have done are not exactly how I envisioned them as a finished product.
Okay.
But I think sometimes we're harder on ourselves than people realize.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I think I've made a lot of stuff that I said trash, but it's not trash. It's just not how I'd like it to be. It's not. I don't think it's a fantastic product.
Right. I get that.
I like getting my ideas out there, and sometimes I'm surprised that people like some of this stuff, to be honest. And
I know where you're coming from on that one, my brother.
and I tell you, there's one song out there, writing with Joey Wells, I had 2 Grammy nominations, but yet, when you take your words and you give them to somebody else, and they slightly alter them, and they do this and that, it doesn't end up being your vision of the song.
Mm-hmm.
And I've thrown some out there that I've done myself with some tracks that my son gave me. And again, my singing is not what I'd want on it, and the music isn't necessarily exactly my vision, but I like to get them out there so people can maybe hear it, and I think, well, maybe somebody will like my lyrics, and it could lead to me help writing with them, which I would like to do. I'd like to write more music with people and have partnerships.
Right.
But it surprises me, 2 directions on this I'm going. It surprises me some of my songs that I don't think are good, actually, when I look at the stats of what's getting played the most, I'm like, ooh, that's hard to believe that's getting played the most. I thought this would get played more.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the versions of my songs called Blues Man I had a guy named Kev Gray, and he's in Japan now, but he's from London. And I was a producer on his one album. And through that, he did one of my songs, which is Blues Man. And it ended up on the album because his producer liked it and stuff. And that is the song I'd say is the most like my vision of my music. I'm happiest with that.
Okay.
But then when I look on DistroKid at my statistics for what's getting played, that is not the top song. Some of my rough-voiced blues that I do myself, that I probably half-talk sing through, if you know what I mean. You're not always totally singing. It's kind of like a talking type thing.
Right. I've seen your stuff, yeah.
Gets played more, and I'm like, that's interesting to me. But, there's probably a lot of other guys out there with rough voices, deep rough voices that resonate with me.
Mm-hmm. Sorry about
that. I used to play in a band called Cadillac Jacks, and we'd go someplace and they hated the guy, our lead singer, guitarist. And we'd go other places where they loved him.
Mm-hmm.
And the places I found that loved him were rough bars with rough men that rode Harleys, and we all rode Harleys.
Mm-hmm.
And they loved him because they accepted him as one of them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's interesting, but it's hard to always live up to your own standards. I think the difference is you can't let that lock you down. I've known artists that are great and they produce a lot of stuff, but they don't put it out there because it isn't exactly what they wanted it to be. And I think if you wait for it to be exactly what you want it to be, it's probably going to be a long time. It's just, it's. I think you got to put stuff out there. I always say sometimes you got to throw things up against the wall and see what sticks, and sometimes you don't know what's going to stick.
Right. Definitely.
I'm sorry, I run on.
No, you're fine. That's definitely, but that about throwing something to the wall and sticking, I was kind of tickled there. It's definitely something from your era, my era, Danielle's era. That's something that we often said a lot about a lot of different things in life and things, and it's pretty well true. But you're right. If you wait for a lot of things, and if you're trying to get it to a certain vision, that doesn't always happen. You and I both know personally in entertainment and various things. Good luck on that one, because it doesn't always happen that way. And like you said, something that you didn't expect was something that was really like taken off by a bunch of people, and they're like, oh well, they love that, and it wasn't really what you wanted, but in the end, I guess on the other side, the flip side of that is as long as someone is liking it and seeing it, you're still always moving forward, right?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I did, talking about what they like, I was digging through my old videos I had, because I'm a partner now on YouTube, and I found this old one I did where I put my face on Bruce Lee's body, and it's a couple scenes from his movies, but it has my face imposed on his face. And I threw it out there as a short on YouTube. Overnight, the thing had 7,000 views.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, I did this thing where I was down at Cody Rhodes, who's now the world heavyweight wrestling champion for the WWE. I was on the way back up from visiting some martial arts friends in Florida. I went by his gym where he has trained wrestlers, and nobody was there. And I shot this video about, how rude it was. I came, nobody was there, was to meet me, and I was representing my one singer who is a pro wrestler, and it was just BS that I made up, and I posted it, and I got such a response from that, like almost instantaneous. One of the responses I think might have actually been from Cody was about, how would you like it if I showed up at your job when you didn't expect me, and and gave you the riot act.
Oh my God!
I just said, I'm gonna. Well, if you show up, I'll order pizza. That's what I said.
Yeah.
But Now this set me up. I did a second video where I said that I have a collectible wall with signed pictures, and I joked that his people were busting on me. Then a couple people back in Cody were giving me garbage,
Right.
and I said, if your people keep giving me garbage, I'm going to take you from my Wrestling Hall of Fame and make a new Wrestling Hall of Shame. I said on this video. So that didn't get as many views. But then the night that he got the World Championship, I sent out a quick short congratulating him and thanking him and telling him I'm really happy for him and that I wanted him to do that, and that was what I hoped for. And I said, I know in the past we seem to have problems, but that's all just part of the wrestling gimmick, I said,
Right.
And congratulated him. That shot up to like 5,000 views overnight.
Mm-hmm.
It was like boom.
Right.
And like I said, it's odd what hits and what doesn't.
And you brought up a very interesting thing. That is part of the wrestling gig thing. There is a lot of that, even off the the mat and stuff. You're 100% right, because that's what feeds their that's what feeds all their stuff. For their fans and for them. And I mean that was just to be kind of expected with what you were dealing with there. I mean I would automatically know I'm going to get some like out of left field from some of the fans. I get that one but that's what that is though. I mean that's. They all know that. You gotta take that one with a grain of salt because you can't take any of that. Like, okay, I knew that was going to happen. But I do.
I'll tell you another thing I've noticed. I've also noticed if I tag some of my videos, like when I do my vlogs every day, I do a little vlog saying what I'm up to for the day.
Yeah.
And
that's what I like. Those
are funny.
They're cool.
Times
I was going to tell you, I like those. I just was looking at some of those. They're really cool.
So a lot of times, if you notice, I hashtag them #narcissist.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I found that the times I tag it narcissist, I get more views than when I don't tag it narcissist. So it's kind of funny. It's like, okay.
Gotta love it, don't you?
But
Yeah.
I mean, I think I was in one interview where me and the person interviewing me kind of agreed that we're all a little narcissistic. That's why we're in the business.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That you can be somewhat at some levels and stuff,
but not in a bad way.
I don't think. Way. No, I don't think. There's different levels, and some people have called. I've been called some things too, and egotistical and stuff like that. Yeah, we had that talk when you were down here. I mean, how some people, but you also
exactly.
But you also saw how the friends and stuff that are actually my real friends, interact with me. They're 100% in 100-degree plus weather. Sweating their ass off going, hey, yeah, Magnum, sure, no problem. Yeah. I do want to ask you real quick. When you went into space, you went with the Russians. That was some time back, long before many of the issues have been going on of late. Now, my understanding is that's into the edge of space with a jet. Am I correct on that? That's with jet, right?
Yes, it was a MiG-29, and you go out to a military base where they have a museum of building the MiG-29s.
Okay.
And then you fly up to the edge of space where you brake. You can see the black of space to one side and the bright. Well, what always surprised me is I didn't think about the brightness of the sun.
Oh.
But of course, the sun is quite bright when you get out there. But to one side of you see the black of space, and the other side of you it's bright from the sun.
Oh, wow.
So, but I saw that they discontinued those, I think, like 2017 or 18, like shortly after I was there in 2000. I was there in 2014.
Yeah, lost everything.
So they discontinued them somewhere in the 17 to 19, 2017 through 19. They discontinued. So some of that might be because our relationships aren't as good.
Right.
I'm not sure, but
well, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of factors involved. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, go ahead, Danielle.
I don't understand. So if you went up in an airplane, how did you get it?
No, not an airplane, a jet fighter. A MiG-29, which is a high-end jet fighter that goes supersonic, and you... Excuse me?
Well, do they take tourists? What is this place? What was this?
Oh no, you go to the military base. They fly you up to the edge of space.
Oh wow!
You had to be.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
You paid for it.
Yeah. He paid for it. Yeah. No doubt. And
they told me there were people that were scared once you get strapped into the jet that wouldn't do it. Because you are, I mean, I'm 6'2" and I'm a big guy, and you do feel a little claustrophobic shoved into that jet. I mean, you don't have a lot of room.
yeah, that's not a lot of room for a 6'2" guy.
No.
No, it is not. And you know it. Well, I wasn't scared as far as scared. I mean, I could get killed walking across the street. People would say to me, you know, it's something I wanted to do, and I was going to do it, and I did it. I threw up at the end of it. And,
I love it. Awesome.
Took a 3.5-hour nap. But they tell you ahead of time. They told me eat a light breakfast because people throw up, and they said also bring an extra change of underpants because sometimes other things happen too. So
Wow.
I only threw up. I didn't need to. I didn't soil my underpants. How about that?
That's awesome, John. Go ahead,
So
Daniel.
what do? They take off and they go straight up?
You feel like it. You're not going exactly straight up, but the big jets like that do not need runways like the ones you take to go travel the world on, like the 747s and stuff. They take off very fast.
So
Yes,
is
they
it like the edge of space where, like, I don't understand, where...
There's a point they call the edge of space where the atmosphere is very thin, and you can break it and you see space and you see the curvature of the Earth, and you look down and you see the clouds and you see the atmosphere of the Earth. So you go up and you break that level, and then you come back down.
And if you weren't strapped, that'd be zero gravity area before it starts too, correct?
Oh, wait a minute.
You do get a different feeling of, you know, it was interesting. At one part, if you watch the video of it, the thing we're spinning, and my gloves are up above me, and I just reach up and grab them. And the weird thing is, it doesn't seem that odd because the gravity is different, if that makes sense.
Right. So
It is a different feeling.
You're in space for a few seconds.
Right.
Oh, I wouldn't think the plane would be able to fly in space.
Well, see, you keep calling it a plane. It's not a plane. It's a fighter jet.
Huh?
It's a high-end fighter jet. So that's...
Which also has oxygen mask.
You have what? Oh, yeah, you have oxygen mask. It's pressurized. You do feel like you're in a bubble getting cooked by the sun a little bit.
Oh, wow.
Like when you're on a hot sunny day in a car and the sun's coming in through the window.
Yeah.
We have very much that feeling.
Ooh.
Wow.
And it's nice, but before that we did some. He let me try and fly it, but I didn't have a good, he kept telling me to pull it up. And we do some spins and some flips, and we did a thing called the hammer. Where you just go straight up, and then you cut the engines and let it fall down, and then restart the engines. So that was fun.
Oh, no wonder you threw up.
No, I threw up. When we came into landing, he said, we're not really coming in right, and he banked it really quick, and he hit 7.8 Gs, which isn't a super amount, but before that we'd only hit like 5.5.
Oh, wow.